Well, that was quite the reveal. Are you ready to talk some spoilers for WandaVision Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall? Let's break that fourth wall and let's spoil this episode.
It's probably just a case of the Mondays. Am I right?
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk review for WandaVision Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. And of course, it has that title because finally we've broken into modern TV shows where we do those cutaways where, you know, the person's interviewing with the camera, like that mockumentary type style dealio. Dealio? Seriously, who still says dealio? What decade am I from? Now, normally, as a YouTuber, when I say something stupid like dealio, I just go and edit it right out. But the advantage of this mockumentary type deal with these cutaways is now I could come and explain myself and make a joke out of it and therefore justify saying it and not have to edit it out and do more editing to put this in. So overall, this episode was a lot of fun and very interesting. It was fun to have Vision and Darcy together. One thing I'm very, very glad about is it didn't drag out Darcy being part of the show for long. Vision says, look at that mind, his plate's getting too heavy. And when she turns her back, he sets her mind free. So I'm glad we did not spend a lot of time with Darcy being like an unaware character of the show. I'm glad Vision recognized the fact that she came running out to him saying, help him, help him, help him, when he's, you know, disintegrating because he can't live outside the hex. And so he set her free, and now he gets information. Like, she tells him the story of what is all the movies he's part of: Age of Ultron and Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and it sounds like he just got the cliff notes, but he got enough to know that he died twice, and the first time Wanda had to kill him, and the second time she had to sit there and watch. And I like his revelation as he's doing his little talk to the camera, talking about how, you know, to me it feels like this happened to another person, but to her this was only a matter of weeks ago. And so he's trying to understand her pain and the pain that is raging inside of her that would cause her to create this hex, to create this entire world. So what I like is Vision believing this is Wanda's doing, is he's coming to terms with why she would be doing it. He's also trying to come to terms with who is he now, since he has no memory of his past life. So I did think a lot of that was fun. It was hilarious, where we think it's the subconscious of Wanda and that it's Wanda doing this. We get the big reveal later where they're trying to get back to Wanda, and all of this stuff gets in their way. Like, they get to this traffic, one single traffic light, it turns red, and then it turns green, and then people come to work on that, blocking the intersection so they can't go. And then when they leave, you know, it's this never-ending line of kids that are trying to cross the street. And it reminded me very much of the Truman Show. All those little things they try to do to try to make things look normal, but to keep Truman from going where they don't want him to go.
Blocked it every turn. Beautifully synchronized, don't you agree?
So that was fun to have that, but I was getting angry because it's like, Vision, you can walk through walls, you can fly. What the monkey's uncle are you doing just sitting here complaining about how this is frustrating you? Although it was pretty hysterical, his aside to the camera, like, this is frustrating. But then he finally does it. He flies through the ceiling or the roof of the car and goes flying towards Wanda's house. So it's like, okay, good. And then Darcy's on her way. So I like that setup. I thought they did a good job with that. We got Vision in play. I'm excited to see where that's going. The other thing that's interesting is when we cut back to Wanda, her just kind of needing a day to herself to try to understand what's going on. I mean, she exerted a lot of power to expand the hex, and that was her that expanded the boundaries of the hex. But as the other episodes have been building up to, it seems like this is her doing. So much of it seems to be her doing in her illusion, but she has no memory of how this all started. So that is something incredibly suspicious. Did somebody else do this and they want her to believe she's the one doing this? So they've relinquished a certain amount of control. I'm going to get more to that in just a second because I do think that's what's actually happening now. This episode just gave us enough of that revelation. But as we're seeing, this episode, she's feeling a little depressed. Agnes comes to take the twins, and so she can have a day to herself, some time to herself to just try to think things through, rest, regather strength, but she's losing control as the house is shifting through the different decades that they've been going through. And so that was interesting to see because it does lead you to believe, okay, she's tired, she's sad, and she's depressed. So put all of that together, of course, probably her will to hold all of this together is weakening, and that's probably why we're seeing all of this weaken. And so it kind of leads you to think that could be the issue. But our big reveal at the end, I don't think so. I think she's in some sort of trap. Maybe like she's losing control, but now I'm wondering how much control did she actually have to begin with? Is it now Agnes that is kind of done with this now that the damage is done? Oh, that's exciting. Before we dive into Agnes, I think Monica's character is increasingly more and more interesting. Her will to break through the hex is incredible. Right before that, though, my gosh, the revelation that it wasn't Wanda that broke Vision's request, right? Like Vision's wishes, if he were to be deceased, would be to not be reactivated because he doesn't want to be anybody's weapon. So in that earlier episode where we have that security footage of her breaking in and stealing Vision's body, it really seems that she went to steal his body because she just couldn't imagine life without him, and she's breaking his wishes. But now, all of a sudden, we have this revelation. Hayward has this project with this secret code name where he's the one who wanted to bring back Vision, probably for his own purposes to do exactly what Vision didn't want. So all of that I thought was really interesting, which makes me wonder, are Hayward and Agatha, are they working together? What's going on here? But the other interesting thing, Monica breaking through the barrier. When she couldn't get through in the giant vehicle that they had, she goes through herself again. Now, every time she goes through, it's rewriting her DNA on a molecular level. That's happened to her twice. So here she goes doing this a third time. And what I liked about her going through the wall was the voices she was hearing, and I turned up the volume. Like, I watched it twice. Second time, I really turned up the volume because I wanted to hear what was being said. And it really seemed like a lot of flashbacks to Captain Marvel. And then the last thing you hear is the voice of Brie Larson. You hear Captain Marvel saying, your mom is really lucky because when they were handing out kids, she got the strongest one. And that's where you see her eyes glow blue, and just by sheer force of will, she pushes herself through the wall and she comes out. And two things interesting. Number one, she didn't become a character on the modern show. She did not become a character. She retained herself and her identity. And number two, not only are her eyes glowing blue, but she is looking around and it's like she could see the energy. I don't know if it's just the energy of the hex, the magic, but she can see it. And then she blinks and it's gone. But then when she confronts Wanda, and it seems again that Wanda wants to defend her world, her home, and her life. She's trying to defend it, and they confront each other. It's like Wanda lifts her up in the air with her power and then slams her down, which sometimes there's problems with superhero shows like Smallville, for instance. Like Clark will pick up a normal mortal and throw them into a brick wall, and he's not concerned that they're dead or going to go to the hospital or be in a coma. They're just knocked out and they get up a little bit later and they're just fine. Like 99% of the time, that seems to be what happens. And so it seems sometimes in these type of shows, you forget everybody else is mortal, somebody else's powers. So when Wanda dropped Monica to the ground really fast, is that a case where the show just kind of forgot Monica's immortal, or was Wanda really going to hurt Monica severely and intending to hurt her severely? But Monica, using her powers, broke her fall. Like, she has powers. Oh, that's so freaking cool. Like, I don't know too much about the hero she becomes, and I like not knowing that. It's very cool experiencing this all for the first time and seeing where this is going to go, not knowing where it's going to go. So it's very cool to see Monica developing powers, becoming a Marvel hero in her own right. And then you have Agnes, who comes out and, says, you gotta leave, and takes Wanda away. Now, this is the part that was really interesting. Wanda in the house, right? This is where her twins were, and now they're missing. And she notices they're missing. She also notices that locust that is crawling down the curtains. What a weird house. And Agnes says, oh, your kids are probably in the basement. When she goes in the basement, my gosh, it's a witch's lair. That's what it is. Including a spell book that is emanating power. Okay? Doctor Strange, Marvel Universe magic is happening in this house, and I loved it. I love that little song with Agatha singing, it's all Agatha's fault, or all Agatha's doing. And it was very cool to get the reveal that every bit of this is Agatha's doing. So perhaps this isn't all Wanda's doing. She has no memory of how this started because Agatha started it. Agatha Harkness. So that is something that is very, very cool, and it makes me want to go back and rewatch all of those earlier episodes and now see, like, were the hints and clues always there that Agatha was indeed working in the background making all of this happen. Now I'm excited to go back, so that's going to be something really cool. And I like that because I really felt like the first couple episodes were very slow to me. And it was just too long on the sitcom stuff. Give me the Marvel stuff. I was feeling a little bit impatient. But now that I've had this reveal, I feel like when I go back and rewatch, and now I have a strong desire to rewatch, it's going to work backwards. And I'm going to be looking for those little hints that it was Agatha this entire time. And one of the things that was just so telling is right before this great big reveal, where you have Wanda and she's doing her little talk to the camera and she's just talking about how she's losing control. And then that voice comes out and says, "Don't you think you deserve all this?" And Wanda kind of freaks out and is like, "Wait, you're not supposed to talk." And then when Monica and Wanda are confronting each other, Monica's trying to say, Hayward is trying to make a villain out of you. Don't be a villain. And she's like, what if I already am the villain? I mean, that's the true deceit of the enemy. So when we have this Agatha reveal, I think we come to this understanding Wanda is not a villain, that she is part of this because Agatha is the true villain. And the true villainy here is Agatha wants Wanda to believe she is the bad guy. She wants her to feel guilty and all that stuff. I mean, that's true villainy. That's like what the evil one in real life wants to do with our lives, and to make us feel like we're the ones who are the villain. So this is interesting. I will say, the nice thing about these cutaway confessionals, I could just add some more thoughts. Like that whole Nexus commercial, side effects, confronting your truth, seizing your destiny. What does that mean? She's gonna have to confront the truth and confront Agatha's deception, that's for sure. And speaking of Agatha's deception, did she create Pietro out of thin air, or did she use her magic and pull him out of the X-Men universe into the MCU? Lots of questions. We got 2 more episodes to get some excellent answers. I thought this was a fascinating episode with an amazing reveal at the end. Now, how many of you saw this coming? Like, those of you who are more versed in Marvel Comics than me probably saw this coming. Not like how it was going to be revealed, but that Agnes was indeed Agatha Harkness. So let me know what you thought of that. Me not knowing too much about this in the comics was blown away by these revelations, and I'm having so much fun with it. So this show keeps getting better. What are your thoughts? Let's talk about that in the comments. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you'll be notified for my next WandaVision review, movie review, ranking video, trailer reaction, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.